Let's take a look at a break-even problem. You've seen some of these in your book as well as your lessons. So a company that manufactures bicycles has a fixed cost of $100,000. What that means is before it even starts making bicycles, the company has needed $100,000. So that's a cost that it has right away. And then it states that it costs $100 to make each bicycle, and then each bicycle is sold for $300. It wants you to find the break-even point for this company and then describe what it means. In solving this problem, let X represent the number of bicycles produced and sold. So the first part of every story opportunity, a word problem, is to define all variable expressions that you'll be using in your equation. So the very first variable that we need to define is X, which we've done for you up here. We've already given you the definition of X right here, the number of bicycles produced and sold. Anytime you write a definition for an unknown quantity or variable expression, you should be able to circle a quantitative word, in this case number, and underline the unit. In this case, it's bicycles. Bicycles would be the unit here. Okay, so let's see how would we represent the total cost C of producing X bicycles. Okay, so the cost to produce X bicycles, or whatever number X is going to involve two ideas. It will be my fixed cost, the total of my fixed costs, plus the cost of making X bikes. Okay, so each one of these are dollars, because in mathematics we can only add dollars to dollars. So let's go down here and define the cost to produce X bicycles. That would be 100,000 plus 100X. That's your cost. Now, even though we didn't ask you to do this, I want to show you that if I had written here 100X and said, what does 100X equal? Students often confuse what this expression means. What I see a lot on a lot of different papers when we first look at problems like this is students will write here cost per bike. And I say to them, isn't the cost per bike $100? And they'll say yes. So this isn't just $100 here. This is 100, which is dollars per bike, times X bicycles. So what this represents is just money. This represents the cost in dollars to make X bikes. You tell me how many bicycles, like 10, and 10 times 100 is $1,000. That's how much it costs to make X bicycles. So I just wanted to point that out. Find the total revenue R of selling X bicycles. Well, here's my number of bicycles that I sold. So I need to multiply it by a cost per bicycle for selling, and that's given to us by 300X, 300 times X. So there's my cost equation and my revenue equation. And to find the break-even point, I have to solve when does the cost equal the revenue. That's my what equals what. So now I replace cost with what represents cost, which is 100,000 plus 100X equals 300X. And now I solve for X. I subtract 100X from both sides, so I get 100,000 on my left side equals 200X. And X equals 100,000 divided by 200. So two zeros get canceled immediately. In other words, I've divided the top and bottom by 100, which is reducing that. And now I have 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. So that tells me if I make 500 bicycles, this is the number of bicycles made and sold. Okay, 500, that's my point. 500 bicycles. I spelled bicycles wrong. Uh-oh, I better change that. I'll get in trouble by the spelling police. Okay, so number of bicycles made and sold. But I still haven't found the break-even point, because the break-even point is going to be some point that describes the intersection of my cost function and my revenue function. So I know that the x value, because I just solved for the x value, is 500. But now to find my y value of that point, I have to do a little bit of work. Okay, so let's see. So this is 500, comma, and now to find the actual cost and revenue, it's going to be a point on both of these lines. Boy, when I redrew this, my pen is not lined up right here. Whoa, it's not going where it's supposed to be going. Anyway, you get the idea here. Those are two straight lines, even though they look like there's multiple lines here. So let's see. All right, so this is just one straight line. Okay. So to find that value of y, I can go back and substitute 500 into this equation. 100,000 plus 100 times 500. Or I could put that 100 into that 500 into my revenue equation. Either way, I'm going to get 150,000. So that would be my point, 150,000. That's my y value. And now we ask you to explain what that break-even point means. So whenever you're asked to interpret a point, the main idea here is write down your point and then write the units. So this is 500 bicycles, and this is $150,000. So once you put in the units, you basically write your sentence by reading this from left to right. So what does the break-even point mean? In my description, I have to make sure I use both of these numbers, 500 and 150,000, and I have to use the appropriate units. So I'll say the company, let's do it this way. When the company makes and sells 500 bicycles, the cost and revenue will both be $150,000. So that's how you would do number 3. Let us know if you have any questions.